from the station that's always local, always now. This is Fox 19 Now. Fox 19 Now starts with breaking news.
Telling the truth.
Yes.
Your life is on the line.
Yes.
Are you telling the truth?
Yes.
So breaking right now, George Wagner IV, you just saw him, taking the stand for a second day of testimony in the Pike County Massacre trial. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tricia Mackey. So Chris Riva is anchoring our trial coverage from Pike County. We also have coverage with Mike Schell, who's been following this case since the beginning. So let's kick it off with you, Chris. What happened in the courtroom today? Kind of get us up to speed.
All right, Tricia, good afternoon to you. So let's give you the very latest development. George Wagner IV has spent the better part of the last 2 days testifying in his own defense. He is now officially off the stand. The cross-examination was today, where State Prosecutor Angie Canepa was able to try to punch some holes in his defense in this case. Let's take a look at some of the video from earlier today, and some of the testimony that we heard yesterday was a lot about the relationship that George had with his family, but he maintained his innocence, that he was unaware of the plot to execute the Roden family in 2016. 8 members were shot to death, execution style, in April of that year. He said not only did he not know about the plan, but he did not know it happened the night of. He was asleep and wasn't aware that his family was involved for up to a year after the murders themselves. But some of the key testimony today, when Angie Canepa was asking the questions, were this. He insisted that his mother, Angela, and his brother, Jake, who have pled guilty in this case and testified against him in this trial, was lying on the stand and that their stories were not truthful. He also, as Angie Canepa was trying to really punch holes in his story, and it was interesting. She was comparing what he has testified over the last 2 days versus what he told investigators for the first time in 2017. This was what was asked to him right as he was about to step off the stand by Angie Canepa.
What happens to you if you come in here on that stand and admit to that?
Do you want me to answer what I feel should happen to anybody that would do that?
I want to know what happens to you if you come in here and admit that.
What should happen to anybody is they should have death given to them.
Compelling testimony again today. Mike Schell was inside the courtroom. He joins us more with how he feels like he fared on the stand. Mike?
Yeah, Chris, George Wagner IV was calm on the stand throughout today, and at least the questions, or rather the answers he gave to the prosecution's questions were at least feasible. Now, the special prosecutor did question him about his testimony yesterday with his relationship with a couple of the Roden victims. Prosecutor Angie Canepa challenged George Wagner IV on his claim that Frankie Roden was his best friend, but he never met his fiancée, Hazel Gilley, or their child, Ruger, who was 6 months old when the Rodens were killed.
That's at least 15 months where you didn't know Hannah Hazel.
Never met her.
Never met her. But Frankie was your best friend.
Yes.
Canepa said best friends don't ignore each other on social media.
Who you blocked on Facebook.
Who I did not block on Facebook.
Well, he was blocked on your Facebook.
It might be, but it didn't happen for me.
Wagner's attorney challenged testimony that his mother Angela Wagner gave when she was on the stand.
Did you ever tell your mother you would take the blame for these murders?
No, I did not.
Now, coming up at 5, the prosecutor confronts George Wagner IV about conflicting statements that he gave on where his family was and what they were doing on the night of the murders. We are live in Pike County. Chris, we'll send it back to you.
Mike, thank you. It was interesting today because in the initial interview that he gave in 2017, he gave the exact same excuse the night of the murders that the rest of his family did, and that is why the prosecution believes that he is not being truthful at this point. Will the jury agree with that assessment? We will find out in the coming days. As we're closing the 7th week of this trial, there's been a lot to it, from the evidence to the fact that this is Ohio's largest criminal investigation in the state's history. You can get the latest news and all of our coverage dating back to April of 2016 to today on our website at Fox19 Now. You can get it on our mobile app as well. And if you'd like to hear more about Angela Wagner's testimony or Jake Wagner's testimony or even the wiretaps from George talking to Jake himself after the murders, you can listen to our podcast. It is Beyond the broadcast for the Cincinnati Crime Vault. Jessica Schmidt has been chronicling this trial for the last 12 weeks. Tricia, that's the latest from here in Waverly. We toss it back to you from the courthouse steps.
Reva, you and Shell are doing a heck of a job. Thanks so much. More breaking news right now. Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters announcing a local cold case is the victim of a serial killer. This is a story we first told you right here on Fox 19. Dieters says there are at least 3 other victims. Courtney King broke the story yesterday. She was at the press conference today. She joins us live with more now. Courtney.
Yeah, Tricia, so earlier today, Prosecutor Dieters announcing a man named Ralph Howell was indicted in the rape and murder of Cheryl Thompson. Dieters saying in that press conference there is no doubt that Howell is a serial killer, and like you said, he is now linked to the murders of 3 other women.
Live look once again inside the Pike County courtroom. This is the lead Ohio BCI agent, took the stand just a short time ago. We have live team coverage straight ahead. Breaking right now as well, police are investigating the death of a teenager in Fairfield. We're also learning there was a fire vehicle involved in a wreck on the scene, on the way to that scene actually. Jessica Schmidt's at the alert desk with more on that.
So we're told both Fairfield police and firefighters did respond after getting reports of a possible shooting along Planet Drive in Fairfield. We do have new video that shows a home in that area blocked off with crime scene tapes.
Right now we're following 2 major stories now at 3 o'clock. We're learning new details about the deadly elementary school shooting in Texas as the community continues to question law enforcement's response. We also have new information about a deadly shooting at a Fairfield Township Walmart, including the victim's identity and exclusive video of the suspect's arrest.
Where I'm sitting now, of course it was not the right decision. It was the wrong decision, period. There's no excuse for that.
And breaking right now, Texas authorities now saying that it was the wrong decision to wait for a tactical team to respond to a mass shooting at an elementary school in Texas. That shooting claimed the lives of 19 students and 2 teachers that you see right here behind me. Now, here are some of the new details that we are learning this afternoon. Now, authorities say that the shooter, Salvador Ramos, purchased more than 1,600 rounds of ammunition prior to the shooting. And they also say that the shooter fired at least 100 rounds immediately after entering that school around 11:33 in the morning. Now, by 12:03, officials say that 19 officers were in a school hallway waiting for a tactical team. According to authorities, the on-site commander didn't think that the children were at risk. Right now, this press conference comes as a public anger and scrutiny about the police response grows in the community of Uvalde. Madeline Rivera has more from Texas.
Growing outrage as some are now asking what happened in the time it took to stop the gunman who terrorized Robb Elementary School.
The standoff with an armed suspect has now ended in Clinton County.
That's right. Authorities tell us it all started this morning when the suspect tried to break into FBI headquarters in Cincinnati and then took off.
That was around 9:15. Now we're, 5 o'clock hour, and this is the latest development. Team coverage continues now with Mike Shell. He is near Wilmington, where that standoff has just concluded. Kendall Hyde is live from the FBI headquarters in Kenwood. Let's begin with Mike, though. So, Mike, what have you learned from the standpoint that this thing is now over?
Yeah, Chris, 6.5 hours. That is how long this armed standoff lasted here in Wilmington.
All right, Mike, thank you. So let's continue our coverage now. We're going to bring in the Clinton County EMA Director, Thomas Breckel, who we interviewed earlier today during some of our live coverage. Tom, thanks for joining us on the phone as you join us now for the live. Mike Shell was just updating. The standoff is over. Do you have anything to add from the standpoint? Was it a peaceful surrender? Did they take him alive?
I don't have information on that, but as Mike reported, it did terminate about 4:15 p.m. Then we pushed out our notice at 4:25, indicating the response is terminated. And since it is terminated, that has lifted the lockdown measure for the personnel in that area. That was about a 1 mile area from the intersection of Center Road and Smith Road, which means people can now travel around freely with the exception of a small portion of Smith Road by where the scene was as they continue evidence collection and documentation of the scene. By lifting that, that has opened up State Route 73, so a lot of traffic coming from Clinton County to I-71 and to Waynesville and toward the Dayton area has now greatly been relieved, and we've got a lot of people traveling, so it's a great weight that's been lifted off our shoulders.
And again, this standoff lasted for hours. And kind of walk us through what you all had to do to try to get this person to surrender while also keeping people in the area safe.
Well, I'm not on scene, so law enforcement really had the difficult piece to work through. Mine was just taking the information that was being pushed on scene and pushing that out to our county to make sure that people knew what to do, where to stay away from, where they could go away, travel to, and what they needed to be aware of to be able to safely move around.
Thomas Breckel, the Clinton County EMA Director, once again, thank you for your time today. You've been really a wealth of information over the couple of times that we've talked to you over the phone to get an update on the standoff. Once again, it's over, but it started at 9:15 this morning at the FBI headquarters.
That's right. That's where Kendall Hyde is right now. And Kendall, you've been talking to some people as they kind of watch this unfold, and what are they saying?
Amber and Chris, one thing that everyone is saying here is they didn't even know that this happened, but they said in this day and age, nothing surprises them anymore. If you take a look behind me right here, it's a very clear and calm scene, but earlier today that was not the case. It was over 10 different FBI agents scattered all throughout this parking lot gathering up information.
If you want to carry a gun in Cincinnati, commit crimes, be prepared to go to jail for the rest of your life, because that's what's going to happen. We will do everything in our power to get you off the streets forever.
That is Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters today announcing the 2 men have been arrested. They're still searching for a third, and the indictments of those 2 men after shooting 9 people in Over the Rhine early Sunday morning. Now, it happened along Main Street and right in front of police officers, for that matter.
That's right. Courtney King is following the breaking news and joins us from District 1 headquarters, where Cincinnati police just held another press conference. So, Courtney, what else are you learning?
Yeah, Chris and Amber, so they broke down that video, but they were also talking about the plans for this upcoming weekend and how to keep people safe, especially with a big weekend full of sports and other entertainment. But let's go ahead and show our viewers that video so we can break down what police taught us tonight.
Fox 19 Now starts with breaking news.
A couple of major breaking news stories we're following now at 3. Attorneys for P.G. Sittenfeld now claim that a juror was biased.
Currently experiencing one of the worst, most devastating flooding events in Kentucky's history.
Governor Andy Beshear declares a state of emergency after deadly flooding in eastern Kentucky. And good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amber Jayanth.
I'm Chris Riva. Whether you're streaming or watching via cable, we appreciate you joining us today. So let's get to the breaking news now. Although we have a verdict in the P.G. Sittenfeld corruption case, the battle in courts is far from over.
That's right. Attorneys for the former Cincinnati city councilman believe a juror was biased, and they claim that affected the outcome. But the prosecution is now pushing back.
Jessica Schmidt, you're at the alert desk with the latest details.
Of course, a case we continue to follow. So we can tell you that Sittenfeld's defense team believes that someone they're calling Juror X made some posts on Facebook about the trial during the trial.
Hundreds will lose their homes. And this is going to be yet another event that it's going to take not months, but likely years for many families to rebuild and recover from.
Well, developing now, Governor Andy Beshear declares a state of emergency after severe flooding has hit eastern Kentucky.
That's right. Authorities confirmed that at least 3 people have died due to the flooding, but the governor says that he expects that death toll to reach double digits. Chris Foster has the latest.
Fox 19 Now starts with breaking news.
Breaking right now, George Wagner IV took the stand for a second day in the Pike County Massacre trial. Thank you for sticking around with us at 4:30. I'm Tricia Mackey. Chris Riva anchoring our coverage from Pike County all day. Chris, today the prosecution did get an opportunity to cross-examine George. It didn't last very long. I thought it would last days. So tell us more about the questions that they had.
Right, did you think it'd go into Friday? I think many experts thought so as well. But today was the day for cross-examination to punch holes in the defense of George Wagner IV, who has maintained his innocence through this entire trial, saying that not only did he not know about the plan and the plot to kill 8 members of the Roden family in April of 2016, he wasn't aware the night of the murders and didn't even know that his family was involved for up to a year after the murders from that standpoint. As we were mentioning, he, about an hour ago, just finished his testimony in his own defense in this trial. And then the defense team had one final rebuttal question. Here it is.
George, did you ever see Jake buy the 1911?
No.
Did you know he owned one?
No.
Did you go up on Union Hill Road and participate in these murders in any way?
No.
Did you plan these murders?
No.
Did you know they were going to happen?
No.
Did Did you know after the murders that they, in fact, your family had been involved?
No, not until my brother's proffer.
It was a quick rebuttal from that standpoint. It was Angie Canepa, the state prosecutor, that was firing questions at George Wagner for most of the day today. And the biggest thing that she was trying to really achieve was George's testimony that we have heard here in Waverly over the last 2 days is very different than the initial investigation interview by agents in 2017. Then he was in lockstep, if you will, giving the same answers that his mother and his brother gave to investigators, and of course they have testified against him in this trial. Let's get some more legal analysis. Tricia, as I toss it back to you, you're sitting next to Mike Allen.
Yeah, that's right. Chris Riva, thank you so much for that. Okay, so Mike, you have the unique experience of being, an officer of prosecutor defense. So let's hit all those, could we?
Sure.
For one, I was surprised that he was that quick on the stand. Were you?
Very much so. I thought he would go into tomorrow and perhaps the next day, but Angie Canepa got a lot out of him.
Tonight, we're continuing to learn more about the multiple tornadoes that touched down in Kentucky Friday night into Saturday morning. Governor Beshear gave an update from Mayfield, Kentucky just tonight, where he said at least 80 people are dead. Our Andrea Medina has been in Bowling Green today, and the governor has said that is an area that has seen a lot of damage. Andrea, what can you tell us about what's been happening there now and what you've been seeing?
Hey Jessica, we're on Stonebridge Lane and Whispering Hills Boulevard, and at the moment things are very quiet right now, but earlier today we saw multiple people. I mean, we're talking law enforcement, community members and residents here just trying to comb through the area, just trying to help each other out and just being able to support each other in such a trying time. But obviously the destruction here is very unbelievable, and I'll let my photographer take over right now to show you just how terrible this neighborhood is. I mean, just navigating the area is I would describe it like a maze. Like I mentioned earlier today, residents and people just all around just struggle to get around the area because it is truly a field of dangling tree limbs and scattered debris, and of course dodging those wires that are on the ground. While there is a lot of damage here, there were some homes that hardly saw any destruction from the tornado, but not everyone was lucky. Take for instance this home. A man by the name of Shaban Farizi lived here for 22 years. Now, Farizi wasn't home when the tornado touched down. He was actually taking shelter at a friend's house. He says maybe like 20 minutes away from here. It was actually a neighbor who gave him a call and broke the devastating news that his home was completely destroyed and on the ground.
They had blew everything inside. This gone. That not inside, leave nothing. You look at, got nothing. It's everything is gone.
Farizi also says aside from having to deal with the loss of his home, he's also, as he was trying to go through all the rubble and see if there's anything that he was able to salvage, he was able to save a few things, but he says that this morning he put those things to the side, and this morning he woke up to someone who, he woke up to the fact that they weren't here anymore. Someone managed to see all those the very few belongings he was able to save from here, and he says, it's luck really hasn't been on his side at all, but he says despite that he really loves this area and he loves his neighborhood, his neighbors, his home especially, because he lived here again for 22 years, and really what he wants to do more than ever is just be able to rebuild and just rise again from this devastation. Again, this is a scene that we're seeing just all across the area right here, and hopefully Farizi says he will be able to call this place home once again. We're live in Bowling Green. Andrea Medina, Fox 19 Now.
Andrea, I know you have been there for quite some time today. Have you seen neighbors and volunteers really leaning on each other to get through this and just seeing an outpouring of community support?
Yeah, Jessica, there's been a lot of love and support just from so many people. We actually got to talk to a number of just volunteers and just people who drove in maybe from, it could have been as close as 15 minutes away or as far as an hour. They were just out here, just trying to offer water, trying to offer how they can see if there's any way that they can help them put their belongings in their truck or find them shelter, give them food. I mean, honestly, just the outpouring of support has been beautiful to see, obviously, in this very trying time for a lot of the people that live here. But yes, there was a lot of people who wanted to just be able to support each other and, you know, just offer any type of help possible.
Yeah, a lot of devastation there, Andrea, but always great to see the support. Thank you for that update. And if you'd like to help your neighbors impacted by these tornadoes and severe storms, you can. You can make a donation to the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund. To donate, you can hold up your phone and scan that QR code. It's on the bottom left of your screen there. Today, Governor Andy Beshear said the fund has already received more than 18,000 donations, totaling more than $2.3 million. Now, one of the tornadoes that tore through Kentucky broke a 96-year record. Our Catherine Bodak tells us more about this particular tornado.
While surveys of the damage are ongoing, these violent storms will go down in history as some of the deadliest and longest lasting. More than 30 tornadoes were reported across 6 states: Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi, and Tennessee. One of those tornadoes touched down and stayed on the ground for 227 miles. This breaks the current record-holding 1925 tornado as the longest tornado path length, traveling 219 miles. I'm meteorologist Catherine Bodak for Fox 19 Now.
Happening tomorrow, Matthew 25 Ministries disaster response team is leaving for Kentucky. They will be heading to Mayfield to help with relief efforts following those deadly tornadoes. In partnership with Procter & Gamble, the team will be distributing personal care kits, first aid and safety kits, bottled water, and some other supplies.
And it's breaking news out of Oakley right now. Andrea Medina is in part of our team coverage along with Ken Baker as we continue to follow the development of a shooting outside of a Target in a parking lot in Oakley earlier today.
That's right. We learned one person is dead and the gunman still on the run. And we're going to begin with you, Andrea Finney. You've been out there since this all started. What's the scene like now? What are you seeing?
Hey guys, as you mentioned, one person is dead and another person is still not in custody, but we're still outside here of the Target in Oakley. So something that is definitely much more different from the last time we checked in with you. Traffic is now starting to pass by here on Marburg Avenue. Police have opened it up for drivers out here. Even in the last 30 minutes, this was closed off to drivers out here, but people are now able to travel down this area. Now, as far as the parking lot at the Target goes, that is still taped off with police. The entire parking lot, the entire area is blocked off with that yellow police tape. When we did hear from police, of course, that there was an individual that did die. Police did say that the suspect targeted that person. And after that that male suspect did fire the shots, it was towards a targeted person. That person died, and then police say that the suspect left the area in their vehicle. So they say that they're still doing questioning with some of the customers here at the Target, with some of the employees. They do confirm that no one was hurt except for the targeted individual. Again, the suspect is still not in custody just yet. Now, of course, we did hear from police and, of course, the mayor as well. We're going to play some of that press conference that we took earlier to you.
Because of those calls, law enforcement, our incredible CPD was here within minutes. I also want to say how proud I am of CPD's response, how quickly they got here, how immediate the investigation started.
It was a shooter who had an intended target, and he fired his gun and hit that individual in the parking lot just outside the front doors of the Target store. The shooting did not occur inside the Target, and many of those employees and patrons inside the store were not harmed. Nobody inside the store was harmed. He only fired and shot at his intended target.
Yeah, and police have made it very clear that the shooting happened outside in the parking lot of Target, not inside. So again, no customers and none of the employees were injured. It was just only that man that was targeted. He has died. You know, as far as descriptions go as a suspect, police did not want to give us those details, but the only thing that did confirm that it was a male suspect that they are looking for. You know, we also asked about, there was another individual that was handcuffed earlier today. We asked about that. They could not confirm whether or not that person is connected to the shooting incident here. You know, and again, we're going to continue asking those questions, just trying to get that clarity as far as everything that went down here. We have learned so much more information, thankfully, but you know, we're still just trying to get more of our questions answered as far as what exactly went down here.
Andrea Medina live in Oakley. We appreciate it.
Right now, we're continuing our team coverage. Ken Baker joins us live in Oakley. I know you've been talking to witnesses, so what's the latest out there, Ken?
Well, Amber, you got to think about this. 1 o'clock, everything busy, just a normal shopping day. Those shots fired, the scene totally changes. As Andrea was saying, everything is now back open, but we spoke to people who actually were in other stores. They heard those shots. I talked to one woman, she actually works at the Super Cuts, Great Cuts, down the street here, and this is what she had to say about what she heard.
I was coming out of Myers and I heard about 5 gunshots and hurry up and quickly got into my car and came over to work.
So a lot of people had that same reaction. She said she looked around in that Meyer parking lot. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, what's going on out here? Everyone's trying to leave, get to safety. They didn't know what happened. And I do want to point out that as we were driving around earlier, there were actually officers at other stores just kind of securing the area. Again, all of that is beginning to lift. We're going to continue to walk around here and see if we can find other people to see what they know about what happened. I'm live here in Oakley. Ken Baker, Fox 19 Now.
Fox 19 Now starts with breaking news.
Breaking right now, shots were fired at the Kroger near Northern Kentucky University's campus just moments ago. Good evening to you. I'm Jessica Schmidt. The university put out an alert just after 9 p.m. According to that alert, shoplifting suspects were confronted. They fired a shot and then ran off toward Salmon Pass. Officers say they're still searching for those suspects, so students are being asked to avoid the area. We'll continue to stay on top of this story. More breaking news now. We know multiple people are in the hospital after a crash involving a horse-drawn buggy. Troopers say 18-year-old Garrett Miller was driving a truck on State Route 138 just before 5 p.m. out in Highland County when he ran into the buggy that was going the same direction. Police tell us 2 adults and 4 juveniles were in the buggy at the time. All of them were taken to nearby hospitals, either by helicopter or ambulance. Now, it's not clear if any horses were hurt, but we'll continue to follow this story as well. And yet another breaking news story at this hour. Coleraine police tell us they're searching for this missing 11-year-old. They shared this photo tonight. They say this is Elena Weber. Police say she's 5 feet tall and about 100 pounds with brown hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a dark jacket with her hair in a ponytail around 7 tonight. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
I wish I understood why we've gotten hit with the pandemic, a historic ice storm, flooding, and now the worst tornado in our history, all in a span of 19 months. What I do know is that in Kentucky we're good people and we care about one another. That's why people were out in this storm helping their neighbors or people they don't know. That's why other counties, you can look on people's shirts, are here and we're here immediately trying to help.
Tonight we're learning new information about the deadly tornadoes that tore through parts of western Kentucky Friday night. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear gave an update on the ongoing search and rescue efforts tonight, saying he thinks this is going to be the longest and deadliest tornado event in U.S. history. State officials say the severe weather killed more than 80 people, but the death toll is expected to rise. According to the governor, more than 300 National Guardsmen are out searching for survivors and removing debris across western Kentucky. We're also just learning that 8 people died in the candle factory that collapsed in Mayfield during those storms. Company reps say more than 90 workers have been located. Just yesterday, that number was only 40. More than 100 employees were reportedly working inside during the collapse. As of now, 8 are still missing. Now, several Bowling Green homeowners spent the day combing through a field of wreckage. Our Andrea Medina is live there now, joining us live specifically from a neighborhood where, Andrea, you've said the devastation is really just unimaginable.
Yeah, Jessica, that's really the only way to describe it out here. We're on Stonebridge Lane and Whispering Hills Boulevard, and when we talk about how powerful this tornado was, this is what we mean by that. Take a look at what used to be the home of a man named Shaban Farizi. It is unbelievable, Jessica, just the amount of force that hit this place. The entire home flattened to the ground. Farizi tells us he lived here for 2 decades and is in disbelief that he no longer has a place to call his own. Navigating Whispering Hills Boulevard in Bowling Green, Kentucky was like a maze, trying to get through a field of dangling tree limbs and scattered debris. The devastation here is one longtime resident, Shaban Farizi, is having a difficult time accepting.
I never know see tornado in Bowling Green.
Some homes were barely touched by the deadly tornado in this neighborhood, but other houses like Farizi's were completely leveled.
Doors, windows, everything is gone.
Farizi wasn't at home when the tornado touched down. He was taking shelter at a friend's house. It was a neighbor who broke the devastating news that his house was destroyed.
My friend, they say, Shaban, what? They say, your house is down. I say, no, man, come on, don't tell me that, please. Say, yes. I couldn't. What I can see is everything down.
Farizi says luck hasn't been on his side since he immigrated from Germany almost 30 years ago. He says his home caught fire 2 years ago and his children died in separate incidents.
I lost 3 kids in Bowling Green here, 19 years, 14 and a half years, and 34 years. I don't see nothing good news for me.
As if losing his home wasn't bad enough, Farizi says someone managed to steal the few belongings he was able to salvage from the rubble.
They taken tools, they taken my generator.
While it's been a challenging weekend for Farizi, he is thankful to see another day and to have received help from the community as he picked up the pieces. Yeah, Farizi tells us he loves his neighborhood and his home, and he would love nothing more than to be able to rebuild this all over again and just be able to rise above the destruction that took place here. We're live in Bowling Green. Andrea Medina, Fox 19 Now.
All right, Andrea, thank you. Right now, Ohio Task Force 1 is headed to Western Kentucky to help with those relief efforts. The task force was activated just before 5 p.m. for post-storm search and rescue efforts. A Type 3 urban search and rescue team just left headquarters a few minutes ago, right around 10 o'clock tonight. That team includes 45 search specialists and some canine search teams. The specific destination that the team will be responding to is still unknown at this time. Local businesses, organizations, school districts, and more are now pitching in to help all of the people impacted by the tornadoes. We spoke with one business owner and with a nonprofit volunteer about why they're both hosting donation drives in hopes of lending a hand. The images are heartbreaking, the destruction difficult to understand.
A devastating sight to see, and it tore at my heartstrings. I mean, just something like that, you're never really prepared to see something like that.
Seeing these videos showing the damage left behind by tornadoes in Kentucky has prompted both business owners and nonprofit volunteers in the tri-state to do what they can to make a difference.
First thing comes to mind, it could be us, any of us. Don't matter where you live, this could happen to any of us. So you need to step up and try to help.
Jeremy Lilly, owner of Dry Ridge Detailing, is collecting donations in a trailer that will be delivered to Western Kentucky. Anyone can drop off items people may need, like water, bedding, flashlights, and personal hygiene products.
Clothes, toiletries. They say pet food is a big thing too. Any of the basic needs is what we're looking for. And I've got numerous trailers lined up. If we get one trailer full, we're going to try to fill another one. If we fill that one, we got a third one.
In Cincinnati, Heart Animal Rescue is working to help affected pets.
There's a rescue that we worked with before when we had a hoarding situation with some Chihuahuas, and they reached out and asked if we could do anything to help. We know that animals always get displaced, and we want to make sure that those animals are taken care of.
Heart volunteer Jai Ramey says there are multiple ways people can do their part.
We set up a Amazon wish list of the cleaning supplies, dog foods, and toys and stuff that we would need to send down over there. We also set up a PayPal specifically for this.
For Jai and for Jeremy, collecting donations is a simple and small act of kindness that could bring a glimmer of hope to those who have lost so much.
I hope that gives hope, but I also know that tragedies like these always bring people together.
When you're standing there and you've lost everything, anything can help, you know.
And those are just two of the numerous donation drives being held all over the tri-state right now. We can tell you Heart's donation deadline is December 18th. Dry Ridge Detailing is accepting donations through December 19th. Now, we have more information about both of those donation drives on our website and our mobile news app. And if you want to help your neighbors impacted by these tornadoes and severe storms, you also can make a donation to the Team Western Kentucky Tornado Relief Fund. To donate, just hold up your phone and scan the QR code you see right there at the bottom left of your screen. Today, Governor Beshear said the fund has already received more than 18,000 donations, totaling more than $2.3 million. The governor also thanked all of the people who have been willing to offer a helping hand.
I want to thank everybody for standing with the people of Kentucky. We feel it. In fact, one of our biggest challenges right now is organizing the amount of people that want to help, want to donate, and want to volunteer. But you know what? That's the best challenge that any of us could ask for.